this? What's going on here?
All the interference. Huh. Oh well. Hey, Dena here with another guest review for Still Gaming. You know, Halloween is upon us, so I've decided to review what I consider to be one of the scariest games of all time. That's right, Silent Hill. There were some pretty bloody games back in the 16-bit era, but the survival horror genre didn't really start until PlayStation came out and introduced us to Resident Evil, which I had played and I liked it a lot. I mean, it was pretty freaky stuff back then. And then one day a friend of mine loaned me this game that he had gotten, and he claimed that it was like Resident Evil but way more scary. So naturally I had to play it. Now the first thing you're going to notice about Silent Hill is that it has this opening FMV that is very unlike what you would expect for any kind of video game, let alone a horror game. There is no action, no military guys fighting zombies, just nothing that really gives you a clue of what the actual game is like, but it does give you a really nice background on the characters and where they fit into the story. It's actually a very sophisticated method of storytelling, and you really have to understand these characters to be able to follow what's going on in this game. So definitely do not skip the opening FMV on this one. It also doesn't hurt that it's just beautifully done. Now the story starts off deceptively simple. You play as Harry Mason, who is just a regular guy who happened to drive through the wrong town at the wrong time. He was in a car accident, and he woke up to find that his daughter was missing. And now he has to trudge through this deserted town in the snow and the fog to find her. It's not long before it gets dark, and that's when all the weird stuff starts to happen. As far as the battle system goes, it's pretty similar to Resident Evil, where you hold down the shoulder button to get your weapon ready, and then you use the action buttons to shoot or hit, whichever. Pretty typical really, but simple and effective. The main difference is that you get mostly melee weapons. You get a couple different guns, but sorry, no bazookas or rocket launchers in this game. But enough about Resident Evil for now. Let's talk about what makes this game unique. Hey Harry, is that a lens flare in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Yes, you actually get a flashlight in this game, and this was the first game I had ever played where you could only see like a few feet in front of your character. The monsters just kind of quietly creep out from the darkness and into your field of vision. And boy, is it ever disturbing. That alone is almost guaranteed to give you nightmares. Especially if you play it alone and in the dark. Speaking of nightmares, these nurses f***ed me up bad. It's not even really the way they look, it's their body language. It probably has something to do with how humanoid they look and the way they writhe and twitch when you beat them to death with a pipe. I think it was 2 a.m. when I experienced that for the first time, and I'm all, okay, enough of this, I'm going to bed. At which point I had a nightmare. Good times, good times. I got off track a little bit there, but another cool item you get in the game is an old radio.
Huh, radio. What's going on with that radio?
Basically, the radio only makes noise when monsters are around. And considering that pretty much all of this game takes place either in the dark or in the middle of some thick fog, it's really the only warning you get that they're coming. The voice acting and dialogue in general could have been better, but I don't really have any serious complaints about it.
everything.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of cheesy and overdone, but
You know something? Tell me.
as I recall, that was pretty much the norm
Stay
back
back.
then.
Nothing is to be gained from floundering about at random. You must follow the path. The path of the hermit concealed by Flauros.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, really.
Maybe there's something back there.
The borderline
Let's have a
sexism
look.
in this scene just kills me.
Wait. We don't know what's back there. I'd better check it out first.
I'm a cop. I should go.
Exactly.
No, I'm going.
No. Go into the
All
kitchen
right.
and make me some pie.
I'll cover you from here. Be careful.
And what's she covering him from? She doesn't know about the monsters and there aren't any people around.
Okay.
Oh well. One thing I will say about the dialogue is that at least it's kind of quiet and eerie, even
Do
if
you
it
know
is a bit
anything
cheesy
about-
at times. I would have preferred that over loud
Well,
overacting.
Like some other world? It's like some kind of bad dream.
It could have been a lot worse. At least for the most part, it's not laughably bad.
Stop it! Don't open that door!
What? What is this?
What is it?
Blood. What is it?
What is this all about? I can't figure it out at all. I don't know what's going on.
Jill, here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Anyway, the sounds aren't great either, but they're generally adequate. You've probably noticed by now that the radio sounds like a school bell. But considering that it goes off whenever monsters are near and the monsters are creepy, the sound kind of becomes creepy by association. When you hear it, it kind of makes your blood run cold a little. The moaning of the nurses starts to sound a little bit silly after a while, though. Not to mention pornorific. As for the background music, it's really more like background noise. But I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, this isn't the kind of music that you're going to be humming later without realizing it, but it really sets the mood well. Now, the graphics are kind of dated by today's standards, but the atmosphere is very effective. In fact, I actually think that the first Silent Hill game has the best atmosphere out of all four. This one somehow manages to utilize the darkness and the flashlight effect really well.
Where am I? Have I been here before?
The darkness is just so unnerving, and the snow and the fog kind of adds to this general feeling of loneliness and isolation.
I don't remember this being here before.
Either way, you never know what's coming. And nothing is scarier than knowing there's something there, but not knowing what it is or when it's coming. There's a lot of just random weirdness in this game, and some of it is there just to kind of scare you and make you feel uneasy. But some of it is symbolic, and you really have to pay attention to everything you see in this game, no matter how odd or out of place it looks. The overall tone of this game is very dark and morose, and even depressing once you realize what exactly is going on here.
Daddy? Help me. Daddy? Where are you?
Cheryl!
You know, the story is told in just such an intelligent and sophisticated way, it's almost too good to be a video game. You know, I bet this would make a good Never mind. But in all seriousness, if you like horror games and you're interested in anything that's a little bit unique, you absolutely owe it to yourself to check this one out if you haven't already. I think it's a little bit rarer and it's a little expensive on eBay. I know I have a bad habit of recommending games that are rare and expensive, and I apologize for that. But this is one of those cases where it would be totally worth it. Seriously, you don't want to miss out on this one. It's a classic. And now for a quick recap of that comparison I was doing earlier. Resident Evil is all about action, gore, and cheap scares. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love these games. Whereas Silent Hill is a quietly creepy psychological horror, like a good horror novel, and the story is told just as well.
What happened in this town?
It was Resident Evil that popularized the survival horror genre, but it was Silent Hill that really took it and ran with it. Some of the inspiration for the Silent Hill series comes from a movie called Jacob's Ladder, and if you're a Silent Hill fan, you should totally check it out. I also think there's a little bit of Stephen King influence, but I'll get to that some other time. Well, that about wraps up my Silent Hill review. Have a fun Halloween, guys, and take it easy on the candy. See you next time!